Hello everybody! In today's video I'm going to tell you how I made this into a painting, what inspired me, and what adjustments I had to make along the way. My name is Ben and you're watching the channel Ben is So. If you like art related videos, consider subscribing to the channel. Take it away, presentation boy. Hello once again, my name is Ben and today I'll be giving the presentation on how I made this painting. In today's video, I would like to share the process of creating this painting, where I'll tell you all about getting the idea, molding the idea into something palpable, sharing my references, and showing you the whole process of creating this painting. Before we begin with the presentation, I hopefully divided this video into segments. So if I did, here is the list on the screen and the video is segmented. But please don't jump around because I'm gonna begin from the beginning and end at the end. Part 1. Getting the idea. So as you can see right now on the projector, this is a page from my sketchbook where I was just listening to music, scribbling. I was actually listening to I Want Things to Be Beautiful by Devi McCallion, and this song made something click in my brain where I just frantically wrote down the idea, sketched out the idea, and originally I wanted to make it an animation. You can actually see on the bottom of this page that I'm describing very specifically how I wanted the animation to go. Before I actually got to the description of my animation, I just wrote down the text above. It was one of those moments where you have to write it down as soon as you get the idea because it's just a fleeting moment. You don't catch it, you're gonna miss it. So that's what I did. And I also sketched it out because I make sure to sketch out my idea, even though it was very clear in my head. Throughout the years, I realized that all these amazing ideas, how I picture them, I actually fucking forget if I don't scribble them down, even like as badly as this. So, my advice to you, scribble your ideas down, even though they might be illegible. Wow, looking at this, it's been 2 months since I got this idea. Okay, let's decipher my idea now and where I got it from. Actually, on this page, you can see that I'm describing a Twitter GIF I've seen around a lot. It's basically of flowers blooming, and that was my main inspiration for the visual of this animation, or what was supposed to be an animation at first. I also got a lot of like sort of a slogan or like the idea behind the painting of how can beauty blossom from rot. A rotting person from a rotting person, fungi grows. Retrospectively, I can with confidence say that I was very much inspired by the game I was playing at the time called Disco Elysium. I'm not gonna get into the game, but if you know it and you've played it, then you can definitely see how that game inspired me. Because in the animation at first, I had this opposing picture of blooming flower where it would cut to show that actually a flower is not blooming, it's a fungi or mold, and it's actually growing from a rotting corpse. It was supposed to make the viewer feel sort of deceived. So anyway, after getting the idea, I didn't work on it for a few days until I suddenly got a burst of inspiration to paint it, to make it into a painting instead of an animation. But unfortunately, when I took out my canvases, I quickly found out that they were hydrophobic, or basically not compatible with the medium I paint with. I guess we're getting ahead of ourselves because I'm going to describe the technical stuff at the end, but it still needs mentioning that I paint with aquarels. I do a lot of my underpainting with aquarels, and I like to mix them with gouache paint, and I often like to dilute gouache paint a lot, so it's almost like an aquarel. I also use tempera. So, after the unfortunate events of me not being able to paint, even though I was super inspired to, I felt like I had an allergic reaction. I felt like what I was experiencing was as if I was suffocating on my own ideas. I felt like I needed to let them out. Well, first of all, I pondered and I felt like those unexpressed ideas would stay inside my gut and start to rot and begin to rot myself and my body. And this is where another idea that was kind of related, kind of not, began to inspire the painting as well. I was kind of wondering if I'm so rotten, will I ever be able to create something beautiful again? But that evening, I decided not to give up. I didn't want my ideas to rot inside me, so I sketched out the idea for the painting, the sort of layout, because my new vision for the painting was to have it look almost like a poster. I was figuring out the composition of the text and the main subject, and I also wanted to push the molding and rotting idea more. So I decided to paint mold in the upper left corner and kind of intervene with the text. But I'm gonna go further into description once you're gonna see the finished painting. Part 2. Layout. After getting home with my brand new canvas, I immediately whipped out aquarels and started sketching with paint. At this point, I have realized that there is no way for me to continue without figuring out the text first. So, that's what I did next. I went online to search for a font that resembled my vision closest. That font ended up being Anton. I opened up InDesign and edited the text to my liking. Here's a picture of me laying out the text and seeing how it looks. Once I was satisfied with the layout, I began to transfer the sketch with a technique called frottage. Guys, don't laugh. This is serious art business. Anyways, I made sure to use watercolor pencils so the lines would dissolve underneath the paint. I honestly never know what to expect with each painting. Will I be slapping thick layers of paint onto canvas so it wouldn't matter how crazy the sketch underneath is? Or will I have a nearly meditative experience of applying thin, water diluted layers of paint? After that was done, I went to sleep, because it was evening. Though I'm assuming the next day I was able to adjust the sketch to my liking and begin the next part. Part 3. Gathering reference. I was super eager to begin, but I knew having a good references nearby would make the whole process way less frustrating and easier. Here are the references I was using. This picture of the hanged man from Disco Elysium. It was mainly for inspiration and vibes. I needed a good reference for the body, so I went on the ArtStation website, searched up male body, I think, and simply adjusted the model and made a screenshot. Next up, I was searching for various pictures of mold. These pictures got my attention, especially this one. Apparently this is how mold under the microscope looks like. I added it to the composition, which made it look more finished and cohesive. Otherwise, it would look empty, I think. For the centerpiece, I used this reference. I also had this picture saved, but honestly, I didn't reference it much while painting. This is a picture of a mushroom called Laetiporus sulphureus. And look, I know that the whole theme of the painting is rot, and by extension mold. But when I had this idea, I imagined a yellow-looking mushroom. I like to give myself artistic liberty to fit my vision. After all, I've done the same thing with the background. It was supposed to be pure black. But I felt that wouldn't be very fitting with the rest of the piece. Part 4. Painting. This is simultaneously the most fun and the most boring part for me, but mostly fun. This is where I often let myself get carried away and make unexpected changes along the way. One of those changes was the text. Originally, the idea was to have a plain red color, screaming for attention against the dark background. But when I was sketching the excess drips of paint off of the canvas, the napkin I was using left a cool texture behind. I really liked it, so I leaned into it. I was planning to paint over the body with gouache, but liked aquarels too much. I also realized that I don't mind the drips that much, so I decided to leave them in as well. I tried to paint the mold spores individually, but it just didn't look right. The dots weren't really noticeable, so I tried to simply flicker the paint off my brush, which worked much better. Part 5. Finished painting. And here we are. Here's the finished painting. The canvas size is 60 by 100 centimeters. It's 335 GSM, and the sheet is acrylic. The painting depicts a giant mushroom in its center, which is growing from the stomach of an unidentifiable body. Behind the mushroom hides a red text asking, "How can beauty blossom from rot?" The background is more dim and cool toned compared to the warm orange and red tones of the mushroom and the text. Mold spores are floating in the air. According to the dates of when the photos were taken, this took around 2 weeks. I'm sure I could have worked on the painting for much longer, but at this point, I've been sitting with the ideas long enough. So, I can say with confidence that I am satisfied with the end result, nonetheless. Part 6. Final thoughts. This painting was inspired by the worry of not expressing oneself artistically, and that inspiration getting stuck inside of you, beginning to rot. It rots your body too. How can you create something beautiful when you're all rotten? The how in this sentence symbolizes the disbelief and uncertainty of the possibility of beautiful creation out of a rotten source. The actual question, stripped of the inquirer's doubt, is, can beauty blossom from rot? And the answer? The answer is yes. Yes, it can. The image of the painting itself answers its own question it asks. When I made this painting, I created something beautiful, despite feeling like the inspiration has begun to rot. So yes, beauty can blossom from rot. Thank you guys for watching or listening to the very end. It means a lot. Let me know in the comments if you had any interesting thoughts and experiences regarding inspiration. If you liked the video, a great way to let me know would be leaving a like and especially leaving a comment. If you're interested in artistic stuff, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new uploads. This has been Ben, and I'll see you around. Lead with kindness and stay creative.